The education system is constantly changing, coming up with new ways to make it better for students, parents, and staff. With this comes standard-based grading. Standard-based grading came about after standard-based learning was introduced. Standard-based grading is currently known as Goals 2000 and practiced by 15 states, including California, Colorado, and Texas. Following the No Child Left Behind movement, the desire for schools to conform to standards-based reform rose. Standard-based reform was meant to build the importance of using tests to monitor student success. In more recent years, the necessity to include standards and instruction has grown, along with the importance of keeping expectations high for all students, aside from their socioeconomic status. Many people have mixed feelings about standard-based grading. Skyward, a company specialized in administrative software packages for schools, encourages schools to create a game plan for standard-based grading. According to Skyward Company, the body of research in favor of it is growing. Technology solutions supporting it are becoming more readily available, and the educators finally have high-quality academic standards at their disposal. Few other educational concepts have greater potential to transform the way we think about student achievement. On the contrary, Edutopia, a website designed to empower teachers through knowledge for the benefit of their students, points out the negative effects of standard-based grading.
In the article known as 3 Peaks and 3 Pits of Standard-Based Grading, it addresses both sides of the issue. One of the concepts that was seen as a disadvantage to standards-based grading was the fact that students were able to redo a lot of what they had already done. Parents are concerned for this because that does not encompass a real-world ideal. Parents have also raised their concerns towards standards-based grading when it comes to those with special needs. In an article discussing the challenges of standards-based grading, Gusky and Young talk about the conflict of interest for these students, stating, "To fail students with disabilities who have shown tremendous effort and progress clearly seems unfair, but giving passing marks to students who have not met prescribed performance standards also seems wrong." However, several other sources have stated the advantages that standard-based grading can have when implemented correctly. One of the articles that talked highly of the practice came from a math teacher who is currently implementing standards-based grading in her classroom. In 7 Reasons for Standards-Based Grading, Scriffany talks about how it challenges the gifted by deepening their understanding while also helping students catch up who haven't yet mastered the standard. She also highlights that the ability to measure the quality of one's own work is a learned skill. The perspectives mentioned appear to disagree on the same matters, but the parties involved are also from differing viewpoints. For instance, Scriffany is in the classroom and is able to see the data and progress and that all of her students are making, whereas parents are only able to see the data that the teacher and student allows them to see. Therefore, the parental viewpoints are more about how standards-based grading will help in the real world, whereas a teacher is looking at how standards-based grading will improve a student's desire to understand. Nonetheless, both parties have the student's best interest at heart.
As for the students themselves, the best thing for them during this transition from traditional to standard-based grading is patience. In her article, Scriffany states that their reactions vary. It takes time, discussion, and reflection for students to understand their rights and responsibilities in such a system. Some students feel liberated by the feeling of control they receive from this new grading system, and still others feel it should not be required for them to rework their assignments. This new way of grading ensures that students are being assessed on their proficiency of a specified classroom objective, in turn enhancing their education by allowing the teacher deeper insight to the academic needs of the students. When a teacher is allowed this insight, it allows him or her to see just what it is a student is struggling with in a unit and adjust accordingly. Scriffany adds that work with special education students and English language learners in particular goes much more smoothly because of all the modifications needed is already built into what I do. And speaking of her experiences with standard-based grading.
Standards-based grading has appeared to become a necessity for schools, according to Oliver, who claims that our current grading practices lack real meaning, since meeting the standards can't be clearly articulated through a pointless letter grade that does not state what the student has achieved. In addition to the variety of opinions on the matter, there has been a rapid growth in the establishment of standards-based grading in the classroom. Several people, as well as organizations, have made it clear how fast the trend has been spreading.
According to Skyward, standards-based grading is on the up and up, and other schools and faculty are noticing. Andrew Kasperson, a faculty member at Essex Middle School in Essex, Vermont, voted to transition the school to standard-based grading as a way to monitor students' learning and ability to apply their knowledge before moving on to the next topic. Many schools are transitioning to standard-based grading because they have seen the beneficial effects that it can have on their students compared to traditional grading. Kasperson mentioned he was very comfortable with ways of traditional grading. However, the transition to standards-based grading was confusing, yet worth it. Traditional-based grading varies from standard-based grading. It allows students to buffer their grades with attendance points and is calculated by your score out of 100 instead of the student's competency to complete a task, as it is in standard-based grading. Consequently, standard-based grading seems to be the way to go, as some teachers have also mentioned its effectiveness when it comes to working with ELL students.
While reading several differing opinions on standard-based grading, we were conflicted on the matter. After careful consideration, we have decided to put our vote towards the implementation of standards-based grading in the classroom. We feel we must side with this view as it is current and based off of the curriculum that is available. Payton has been able to observe standards-based grading firsthand as she was in a classroom that performed these methods of grading. The teacher did exactly as Van Hook stated and created a curriculum that came from Common Core standards, and then based their grades on whether or not the students had mastered specific standards. By seeing the effects of standard-based grading on a personal level, she was able to see how it worked and also where it can be improved in her future classroom. Shelbi found standards-based grading appealing versus traditional, as she read in the article titled, "Consider This, Standards-Based Grading," that ESL courses are natural selections for this type of assessment system because of their very clear standards in the areas of vocabulary, grammar, conversation, and recognition. As this is a significant group of people she hopes to teach well one day, this method appeals most to her.
As a group, we have concluded that standard-based grading is the most effective form of grading. We are young teachers, and contrary to Edutopia's view of standard-based grading, we believe this system will be beneficial for our future students. We encourage you to take a deeper look at standard-based grading and decide for yourself if it is a technique you would be proud to implement.